national chief job. APTN is chatting with each candidate to find out why they're running, and today we spoke with Miles Richardson. Thanks for joining us. Can you tell me why you've decided to run for national chief?
I think our people, our Indigenous people across this country have been in a crisis, quite an increasingly acute crisis with this colonial Indian Act system that we've been trying to find our way out from under. And I think now is an opportunity, now is a time to step forward. And I think we got to make a choice whether we're going to keep going down this colonial Indian Act path, or whether we're going to choose, which isn't working for us, or whether we're going to choose a new direction. And I believe we ought, I'm running and standing because I believe we need to choose a new direction. And I believe we need to stand up as nations and assert our authorities, assert our titles, our treaties, our jurisdictions, to, and in the process, develop a new equal relationship with the country of Canada on a nation-to-nation basis. And in a nutshell, that's why I'm running. I think that my experience, all of what I've done throughout my career has prepared me for such an initiative, and I think it's the only way forward.
How do you think you can get out from under the Indian Act system, though? I mean, that alone is, where do you even begin with that?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? The first thing is our people have to make a choice. Our people have to believe in who we know we are. Each of us across this country, from coast to coast to coast, are the living generations of ancient nations, nations that have thrived in these lands we now call Canada for millennia. You know, the last 150 years, the last 300 years has been a blip in the lifetime of our people. Our story is our nationhood with its deep roots. This colonial system is a little over 150 years old. We need to step out from it. It's obvious that the government of Canada is not going to lead the way. They pay lip service to it every day. But the only way to move out of it is for our people to make a choice to do that, to stand up and have some confidence in ourselves, have pride in who we are as peoples, in our own histories, and tell our own stories, and stand in our own power.
Do you think that the situation with Canada has improved in the last 4 years, like since the last AFN election for national chief? Has it improved?
No.
Got worse?
No. It's a crisis. I mean, I don't know how much worse it could get. Look at the situation that we're looking at with missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Look at the court system. Every time one of our people gets killed and shot by some homesteader, they get away with it. You know, you look at the situation of water in this is Canada. Imagine how many Indigenous peoples don't even have clean drinking water. I mean, I don't know how much more of a crisis it could get, and that didn't just happen in the last 4 years, and it hasn't improved in the last 4 years. Well, and it's not going to improve. It's not going to improve until we stand up.
There's the points that you raise are valid, and these are things that a lot of people are saying. But I guess the question then goes to, how would AFN be able to change any of this? A lot of people say that AFN is no longer relevant, and you're saying AFN needs to take a lead in these things. Can you explain?
Well, one thing I'd ask you and your listeners to do is look at my history. Look at who I am and what I've done in my career. I've been a leader of my people, of the Haida Nation, who built alliances with nations in this part of the world to try and rectify this situation, to attempt to build a nation-to-nation relationship with Canada. It hasn't worked. You know, 20 years ago, we established a treaty process in British Columbia that was heralded in much the same way as we're talking about nation to nation today. The Crown did not change its intention. The Crown did not change its policy toward relationships with us. They continued the colonial path of trying to deny even our existence as human beings, as human societies, let alone humans with rights. And they're getting away with it, and we can't let them. The stakes are too high. And I think each of our nations needs to define themselves in a modern way and stand up and assert who they are. Stand up and assert their own title, their own rights in their own territory. And we need to stand together to accomplish that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's the Assembly of First Nations' role to do that. It is not. The Assembly of First Nations is not a government and must not act like one. Our nations have their own governments. The Assembly of First Nations must be a force for joining, a force for building alliances amongst Indigenous people across this country. And that's the way we're going to turn this mess around.
I thank you so much for taking time to join us and share your views on this very important topic with us.
Thank you.